Hey friend, welcome to the Get Rooted in Health podcast. I'm Gabby Flater, a faith-led wife, mom of 3, certified nutrition consultant, personal trainer, and passionate about changing lives. I know how frustrating it can be to navigate the health and wellness world. You want to be motivated to prioritize your well-being and wish you were more educated when it comes to cultivating a healthy home. Maybe you're a mom who's completely burnt out and needs a fresh perspective on life, or you're searching for a place to feel seen, heard, and encouraged in a godly manner. No matter if you're doing the dishes, getting your sweat on, or drinking reheated coffee while watching the kids play, there is always an opportunity for growth. If you are ready to finally take action about these desires and are ready to learn, grow, and transform your mind, then you are in the right place. It's time to establish deeper roots so you can enjoy a more fruitful and fulfilling harvest. Let's dig in. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Get Rooted in Health podcast. My name is Gabby. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. Let me just tell you, I don't know why, but I just feel that I'm not supposed to say no to this podcast. Like, as hard as I make it seem to have to show up and have notes and plan and all of these things. And I do a lot of things with this podcast unscripted. Like I get inspired and stuff. I'll try to jot down a few notes, but a lot of it can be unscripted. Some of it it's not scripted, but I do have bullet points to keep me on track. But man, life with 4 people, it's not that it's harder, but I think I've said this, it's just more time. It's just more time management that needs to happen because I have so many differing needs from people at so many different ages and stages. And I mean, that's not going to go away because they're still going to be my 4 children of the ages that they are and all the age ranges. But yeah, when they're little, it's just harder. Like yesterday was just an insanely difficult day where it was just like, why is everything that I say to you met with whine or disappointment? Like, why do I feel like I'm just constantly disappointing you, or I'm just being met with so much whining? Like, oh my gosh, could I just deal with some adults for a little while, or could I just whine that much? Sometimes I just wish I could be that way. Oh no, I love my children. They are a blessing, and they sure do just make me have to search my own heart, my own emotions, because I have to learn to not take things personal. Like, that is so much of parenting, and even just in business when I work with people, it's like I just have to learn to not take things personal. And learning little people, I don't really think their minds can fully comprehend that they're not out to get me. They just want what they want. And hey, sometimes I want what I want, right? We want what we want sometimes. So, moms, you're doing great. I even have, moms with older kids, and just hearing the things that they battle and the things they go through and the conversations they have to have and the things they have to let go of because they're just ultimately not in control anymore of those things, and they don't have quite a say in, say, their adult children or their older teenage children. It's hard. It's hard. So part of me is like, could they just stay little forever? But also not really. Yeah. So it just comes with being mom. So you're doing great. Just keep showing up, keep humbling yourself. Ask God just to give you a moment of wisdom and just peace and calm and just strength, because the days are hard. And sometimes I just feel like, man, I have nothing left to give for this podcast. But I feel like God is saying, no, Gabby, just show up however you can, even if it's just a shorter podcast, if it's something you just whipped up on the fly, or if it's just you pouring out your heart in the moment of life that you're in, because there are people that are seeking this. And so I guess that's just why I'm here. And I don't want to get emotional about it, but it also helps me. It's a place I can process, and I have to remind myself that. And every time I show up here and I talk, I'm always so grateful that I did. And I'm just, yeah. So here I am sitting on my daughter's bedroom floor because my newborn is napping in my bedroom where I normally, actually, it's still morning, so she's still sleeping. But she is sleeping in the room that I normally record in. And I'm like, I can't get in there and record. I'm like, what am I kidding, Gabby? Just go grab your stuff quietly and go in the other bedroom because your other kids are somewhere else right now. So I'm not using an excuse. If I don't have the room, I have a quiet room right here and it'll work just fine. So I had to get out of my own way. I had to get out of my head. And I was listening to a podcast on my run this morning. I was like, I just want to wake up. I nursed Estella and I just wanted to get on a run. And I just wanted to listen to a podcast that was encouraging and motivating, not just like health related in terms of like, I don't know, the newest wellness thing or just talking about health. Like I crave those kinds of things. I eat it up. That's like what I love to listen to. But I wanted to listen to a little bit more of like self-development, personal growth type thing. And so I headed to Ed Milet. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but an Ed Milet podcast and just talking about just discipline and just what it takes to overcome the hurdles. I want to find the title of it again. Develop unbreakable self-discipline. Sounds pretty awesome to live a life that way. And what really stood out to me is when he mentioned that the people who say achieve the $1 million goal in their business, or they achieve the highest status in their sport career, their athletic career, or they achieve their highest status in their whatever career they're in or thing that they have pursued, they don't just stop. What really actually defines a truly disciplined person and someone who is like an achiever and different in the world, those that make a mark, those that will make a difference, are the ones that still go for it, no matter if they've hit that biggest goal, like earn $1 million in my side hustle business. They don't just stop there. They continue to go because they want the growth. They've helped the other people grow along with them, and they don't want to stop. And so what marks a true leader, what marks someone who's disciplined, is someone who's disciplined enough to not stop when maybe they've met the goal. They need to redefine their goals because life is ever changing. It's evolution, it evolves. It's we're ever growing. Things are constant. Nothing is standstill in life, which really bothers me. Sometimes I just wish life could stop. Like, how has it been 3 years since 2020? Like, we're already halfway through 2023. Like, how in the world? It's June 1st when I'm recording this. Like, why can't time just like stop? But yet, do I really want it to stop? I don't know. It's like a weird psycho mind game. I feel kind of psycho sometimes where I'm like, I just wish time could stop. But then if time really did stop, would that even make things better? Like, I don't really know. I don't know what that would look like. So anyway, I digress. So I wanted to talk to you guys about discipline. And just like this, like just being disciplined enough to show up here before I get in my head. I've recognized that I'm getting in my head. I'm getting in my own way of all the excuses of why I can't just sit down and record for 20 minutes. All the reasons, like somebody else is already talking about this. It's not going to matter what you say. Someone else is just going to find it somewhere else. But it's like, no, that's such a lie, Gabby. I don't have anything of value to offer, or I'm mentally exhausted for my children, which is the case. Like being so engaged and then to have to show up and just like remove everything. I actually was planning to record, what day was it? Last week. Thursday? Friday? One of those days. I don't know. It was the weekend. Friday. And it just a life thing happened where my mind literally I couldn't enter into this. I just didn't know. I wanted to record so bad because my husband is off work on Fridays. And I wanted to record so bad. And I just couldn't get it in because my mind was completely overwhelmed by an entirely new situation that had arose. And I was invested in emotionally, mentally, And it just exhausted my brain. We're to the point, like, I don't know that I could sit here and even just talk about anything because I can't. So I have to recognize that, have grace with myself. I have a lot of things going on, but I really want to talk to you guys about, or I want to show up and talk to you guys about all these things. And so being disciplined, and that is one thing that, I'm working on with this podcast and just life in general. So I wanted to share with you guys some notes that I had taken about discipline. And when we can achieve discipline, you'll be able to achieve almost anything that you set your mind and heart to. But the first thing is you have to commit. You got to commit. And you can't rely on other people to motivate you all the time. You can't rely on external sources to motivate you. You have to be your own hype man, hype woman, whatever you want to call it. When it comes to the grind, you have to be the one to give yourself the pep talk. You are the only one who knows why you're committed to what you're committing to. You're the only one who can do that. You cannot rely on unreliable external sources because that's just it's not reliable. You can't always guarantee that they're going to be there or that it's going to motivate you. You have to be that person for yourself. So you got to figure out how the heck you're going to hype yourself up. And sometimes it's even just finding your favorite song that you got to crank before you hit the pavement for a run, or before you make that business phone call, or before you enter into your mom day. You need to put on some Jesus music and enter in, hype yourself up, because this is what you're committing to. Whatever it is. And maybe you just got to spend some time in the Bible. Maybe sometimes you just got to go outside and walk around barefoot, jump around, dance. I don't know. Hype yourself up however you have to. Remind yourself of why you're doing this and why you're committed, because if we stuck to our feelings, that's not going to get us very far. And that's the next thing I'm going to say, is people who are disciplined lead with their mind, not their mood. Mind over mood. Write that down. Mind over mood. Okay? And I tell you, it's hard for me because, again, my mood totally just hijacked my brain last week, where I didn't want to record because I let my mood impact what I knew I needed to get done, but I just chose not to because I just felt crummy. I couldn't. And again, there's grace in there, and I have to understand that and have wiggle room, because I have a lot of input coming from so many different places. And sometimes when I'm just overstimulated, I get paralyzed. I have, so, being disciplined, but also having these ADD tendencies, I very much am trying to figure it out. And so I'm trying to, embrace these qualities despite some of the things that are a weakness for me. And so if you can relate, being distracted, paralyzed by too many choices or too much input, too much stimuli, and you just feel oh my gosh, I don't even know how to start. I don't even know, that is me sometimes. And so part of allowing yourself to lead with your mind over your mood is actually having boundaries. And that means saying no to things, not scrolling social media so much, not having so much input from external sources that don't really need your time or your attention. You need to very much guard your heart and your mind if you want to stay focused and be disciplined. Okay? You have to have those boundaries. It's okay to say no, and I'm learning that. I actually had a friend say that to me, and she asked me to do something recently, and I actually had to respectfully say no. And she was like, I'm so glad that you said no. Let's plan another time. I said, absolutely. I don't think I can say yes right now in this season of life. And she totally understood. And not everyone will. But it's okay to say no, even to good things. Because guess what? You might allow yourself that time or that brain space or that energy or whatever down the road to say yes, but not now. You can't say yes to everything. I can't say yes to everything, even though I want to. And I'm still figuring out what I have to say no to. Say no to and say yes to. So have boundaries so that you are not crowded with so much that you're leading with your mood rather than your mind, where you're like, I can't even sort my thoughts, blah, blah, blah. Like your mind and your mood just like, or your mood just takes over your emotions rather than just being like matter of fact and have your right mind in place and just being like, no, this is what I committed to. And these are the things that I need to set in place in order to stay on track with that. So I hope that made sense. So focus on the routine. That's the next thing. Routine, routine, routine. Stick to it. Focus on it and stick to it. That's like wake up and do whatever it is that you got to do before you open that phone, before you open your emails, before you make any phone calls or engage with anyone or anything in the world. You either are in, the only person that deserves that engagement right away is God, honestly. I feel that I've always felt like my mornings have started off so much better after I've spent just that short amount of time in prayer, in a devotional, in a word. Even just when I listen to praise and worship music and I'm out on a run or working out, like that is my time as well. Movement and having input from, like worship music really just like captivates me and puts me in the right place. And so I want you just to focus on the routine, stick to it. So get out for the run before you open your emails. Plan out your outfits so that it's just simple. Remove any distraction that would make it hard for you to choose to do the thing. Meal prep ahead of time rather than opening the fridge and being like, what the heck do I eat? I know I want to eat better, but how? Okay, well, how do you get more discipline in that? You have to create and cultivate the habits around it to create the discipline. So you've got to meal prep, you've got to shop in a way that's going to be, when you open the fridge and you know you need some protein, you have 3 or 4 options in there that are easy to grab. And you need to know that about yourself. You're learning. With kids, it's hard sometimes, but kids, they love routine. So they thrive on it, and it's really good for them. So if we can bring them in to some of our, what we're trying to learn with that, like bring the kids in with routine. Find a way to get a routine with your children if you stay home with them. And if you don't stay home with them, like you've got to have a morning routine. How are you going to get everyone out the door? You got to get to work. Kids got to get on the bus. Lunch has got to be made. Outfits picked out. They got their stuff for sports or after school activities. Honestly, like I don't even know. I have friends, moms who are moms and work outside of the home, and man, God bless their soul, because I just don't get how they do it all. And I know a lot of people say that about me, but I suppose I wouldn't be doing all the things I'm doing if I had an outside of the home job as well. So, it just takes a lot of routine and discipline and structure. And so do that alongside other goals that you have in life. Like look at the areas that you are disciplined in. Like I'm very disciplined in my exercise. And I always tell myself, Gabby, if you could be that disciplined in other areas of your life, just think of what would happen. What other things would just like start to bloom and things would start to just, become easier, more efficient. If you just showed up the way you did for your workouts and exercise, which is what I could do all the time. Like I just love to do that stuff, which it's fine. But how can you implement it into other areas of your life that you're wanting to elevate and become better at? I said this already, but I'm going to say it again, is removing distractions. In order to focus, what do you got to do? You've got to remove the distractions, the phone, the emails, the TV. Whatever the distractions are. Netflix. Maybe people that are just sucking your energy. Like, why are you spending time with them? Why are you giving them your energy? Why are you giving them your time? Scrolling social media. Honestly, I go so much back and forth with that dang phone, where it's like I use it for a lot of good things majority of the time, but there is a chunk of time where I'm like, I don't think I can save any more recipes. I don't even make half of them, but they always look good, so I save them with hopes of making them, and I never do. So I'm overstimulated with all these ideas, which they're great. It's so cool, but like, oh my gosh, if I could just like not have all of that sometimes. Like, what, we were on a drive. We were driving to go pick up, this is a side tangent, but here's a story. We were going to pick up a lawnmower that we finally found on a Facebook Marketplace that did not get sold on us. It can be a sketchy place. We'll just say that. And we had to take a nice 45-minute drive on the country roads. And I was just looking around, and I looked at my husband, and I was like, man, what do you think? Do you think these people that like live out in the boonies, do you think they even know all the hullabaloo that's going on in the world? Do they even care? Do these farmers, do these people that just like live out in the country? Because people say I live in the country, but I don't necessarily. This was like far out there. And I was like, do you think they just don't even know? And he was like, probably not. Like, I was like, when COVID happened, like, do you think they even just like, they probably were like, what's that? What are you talking about? Like when they went to town, or like, I don't know, talk to a family member somewhere else, or like with just all the different agendas in air quotes. I'm not here to get political, but like agendas in the world. Like, he's like, it sounds nice. It kind of sounds nice and freeing. And I was like, sure does. Like, I wish we could just like go live out with no distractions, no overstimuli, no need for more. Like, we're always needing, and that's also what I've learned about me with ADD, is that dopamine hit is like, I'm always looking for the next thing. I'm always like, it's a good thing, but it's also can be a weakness for me, because it can become distraction. It can distract me, and I have to be able to identify those moments or those things in order to know that they need to be removed, or how I can remove them. So identify the things that are going to distract you, whatever it may be. And chances are mostly it's going to be the phone and the TV. But there are other things too. Whatever else there might be that is distracting you. Okay? Someone who's disciplined, they take care of themselves. They know their body is a temple. So just know that if you want to show up the way you want to show up for your goals and for your family and for your life and for your career or your business or your job or your passions, that requires your body and your mind. And for you to have low sleep, poor nutrients, no hydration, no moment of just like breathing or meditating or prayer or just quiet, and no exercise, you're not going to get very far. Because someone who's disciplined needs to have a body that can handle the demands that it takes. And so when your nutrition is in check, when your sleep is in check, when you're hydrating, when you're working on a positive mindset, the only thing that's going to follow is a healthy body and a mind that can function and can show up and isn't burdened by just brain fog or crabby or emotional, or, I mean, we still can be, but like, it's not the every time. Okay, we're human, but let's take care of ourselves so that we can show up. I mean, my goal is I want to be able to run around with my grandkids or great grandkids, for goodness sakes, in the future. I want to have energy, I want to have stamina, and I want to feel good. I want to be able to have a healthy brain, a strong brain. I don't want to be at risk or be living a life with Alzheimer's or having, diabetes or weak bones like osteoporosis, or I don't want cancer. Like, I get it. It's all prevalent in the world and anything can happen I feel like no matter what you do. But like, you got to try. You got to do your best so that you can show up and be the best. You also should have a deadline. Define a deadline. Someone who's disciplined, the deadline allows you to keep yourself on track. Say you start June 1st and you have a deadline by June 30th. Well, guess what? If you're at June 20th and you've done nothing to achieve, say, you wanted to work out a little bit more and you've worked out 3 times. Well, you've got 10 days left in June. Wow, that's really going to put on the pressure of like, I better make the most out of these 10 days because I set out to do it and I've barely done anything. And that marker of looking at the month and those 30 days where you gave yourself a time window, a deadline, it'll show you, where did you put your time? Clearly not in what you said you were going to, because you told yourself that you were going to do it this many times and you had a deadline and you're not meeting up with that. You're not lining up with what you said. So you have to have that, because if it's just like, well, whenever I get to it, or well, hopefully by, the end of the year, or hopefully by, end of summer, like hopefully by end of, maybe, like you've got to use defining words, defining terms, set and establish. And if you don't hit it, it's okay, but you need to set it. It's okay. You're setting it for you. Nobody else really cares but you, right? It's for you. So set the defined goal time. Set that timeline for your own self. And if you don't hit it, set another one. Don't hit it, set another one. And just keep plugging away. Make it a doable thing. If you're finding that you're not hitting it, if you're not hitting the target, then you got to structure more out in that timeline. You've got to structure more habits and be more specific with them if you want to achieve them. Keep your eye on the prize. That is the last thing, is keeping your eye on the prize. And I read this thing online as I was just kind of putting a few things together for this episode, that there was this marshmallow test. And let me tell you, my kids love marshmallows. My son disobeyed me when I told him that the marshmallows that we just bought at the store were not for right now. They were for when we have campfire. And I went and put them away, and I went outside to do something. And I come back in the house, and he literally found them up high in the pantry and just opened the bag enough to get a marshmallow out. He wanted to meet his immediate need. And he even shared one with his sister, because that's what you do when you want to justify your actions, right? But I shared one with my sister. Okay, but I said, no, not right now. Not right now. And this marshmallow test was putting a marshmallow in front of children and telling them, you could eat this marshmallow now, but if you choose to wait to eat it till later, you'll get 2 of them. So it's that whole concept of immediate gratification, or are you willing to wait? Can you sacrifice the immediate gratifications for your long-term gains? Sacrifice the immediate gratification of hitting the snooze button again for the long-term gain of, wow, I'm getting up 10 minutes earlier this week, 15 minutes earlier the next week, 30 minutes earlier than I used to be, maybe even an hour. And look at that. You're up at 5 a.m. crushing whatever it is that you need to spend time doing in order to work towards your goals before the whole world wakes up and needs you. And your whole world is your house. And sometimes they do wake up early, and you got to accommodate. Like, not every day is going to be perfect. But again, mind over mood. Stick to the routine. Have those goals. Have the boundaries. So if the morning didn't start the right way, maybe you got to say no to something in your day in order to get yourself back on that routine track. But you got to commit. That's the biggest thing, right? The only way you're going to do that is if you are committed. And you got to hype yourself up. You got to be your own hype person. Remove those distractions. Take care of your body and your mind. Have that deadline. And you guys will be on your way. I like this episode. This was a good one. I hope that this was a good one for you. And I hope that you share this with someone who you think would be encouraged by it. So, with that, I hope that you become a more disciplined person, that you took notes, that you will start implementing a couple things, and that you will just set that goal and commit. Just pick something that you have been putting off and find a way to commit to it. What is going to be your why? I'm cheering you guys on as always, and I will catch you guys on the next episode. Bye.